Hi, I'm Anne. I'm going to be interviewing my sister Amanda. She's been teaching for a few years now, and this interview is going to be based off of classroom management. So I have a couple questions for you that if you could answer for me, okay?
Okay.
All right. First question. Working with different grade levels, did you find a major difference in the way you were able to manage the classroom?
Well, since I've only worked with two grade levels and those grades are kind of similar, there are some differences, but I feel like from first to third, they're still kind of young enough where, little things kind of motivate them. So I would say, like, with first grade with classroom management, we had a lot of like rhymes and songs and things to get them to be quiet. Let's see, we had the clip chart or the flip your card type of a thing for like the main behavioral stuff. And I found that those things still work with third grade. They buy into the little songs kind of still. And my first year when I did third grade, we had the flip the cards. And this year I kind of implemented something a little bit different just because they are getting older. And I know, like behavior wise, like different things kind of change when they get to fourth grade. But I would say the main things that work are the little chants and rhymes for getting them to be quiet, making sure that whatever incentives you have for them matter. Like at my school, we have like the PBIS system where they earn like their little RAM dollars, and they really like that. And even little things like, giving them a whole sheet of RAM dollars that aren't cut up, like they love to cut them up, or, they like to just, have like little bits of free time here and there, like things that are easy that they can work towards. I feel like is a big thing with classroom management, making sure that, the incentives you have, they buy into, and that, they have something to work towards to like kind of celebrate their good behavior.
Okay, okay. So, what are some problems that you faced in the classroom this year?
I feel like this year I don't have too many problems. It's just, little normal things with the third grade. I feel like I guess one of the biggest things I have are just transitioning from thing to thing. So what I usually do is I'll make that like our goal, and I'll tell them like, our goal for the day is we're going to work on transitions, and if we do some good transitions, they'll earn points for their tables, and then they get their RAM dollars at the end. So I think like, if there is a problem in the class, making it kind of like a goal for you and your class to work on, that way it's clear and they can kind of see their progress and, get rewarded for when things go correctly.
All right. So, is that a way that the students monitor their own behavior is through working together as a classroom?
I would say so. I feel like after a while, like if you set whatever the goals are and it's meaningful, it's something that they want to work towards and reach. So I feel like they do kind of monitor themselves because, if I say, okay, like today we're really going to work on, working silently, like we do this thing called stamina ship where, they have to do something and build their stamina, and it could be reading, writing, being on the computer, whatever it is to build their stamina, and they know that like that's what they're working towards. And if they see somebody who's, not doing a good job or is in their table and they feel like they need to tell them to stop. They're pretty good about kind of keeping each other in check in a way. We're just working on nice ways to keep each other in check. But I feel like they do kind of monitor themselves, and, if you set clear expectations, they should follow them.
Okay, perfect. So, you said that sometimes they try to help each other out. So, what happens when a student is having a bad day and they don't want to cooperate? What do you do to help them?
I feel like if a student's having a bad day, it's important to catch it early. Like usually you could tell like they have certain signs, you could tell when one of them's about to shut down, or another kid at their table is kind of being too pushy or too much with them, and they're starting to just shut down. So I feel like it's important to kind of catch that early, kind of tell them, hey, I see that you look like you're not having a good day, or that there's something wrong. Like I feel like if you have a good relationship with your students, they should open up to you about whatever it is, and then you can kind of take the steps to kind of remedy it before it gets out of hand.
Okay, so you just talk to them privately about it.
Yeah, I feel like most of the time I talk to them kind of one-on-one. Like, I'll just call them over to my desk and I'll make everybody else kind of sit down and go away, and, we'll kind of have a conversation. And for the most part, that usually is what is all it takes, at least for the third graders, just kind of have a conversation. Hey, what's going on? Do you need to move and sit somewhere else? Like, usually I kind of am flexible with my seating. So if they want to sit by themselves or, somewhere else, I'll usually let them for a little bit. And then it's like, okay, let's try to go back to our table and, work together again. So I feel like that's the main thing. Just kind of have that conversation, let them open up to you, and then kind of figure out a solution.
Okay. Do you find that you use positive reinforcement too often and sometimes it just doesn't work anymore?
I feel like with our PBIS stuff, you try to be more positive, than negative, or try to make it where they're setting goals for themselves and reflecting on things as opposed to just yelling at them. Like, obviously, I feel like you can't really avoid times where you just kind of yell. But, I don't feel like I do it too much, because there's a lot of different ways to kind of have the positive reinforcement where it's switched up and they're still kind of, buying into it. Like with the little chants and things, like just to get them to be quiet, instead of telling them to be quiet, have a chant or something so it's more positive. The RAM dollars for rewarding them is good. I feel like now that they have their success sheets, they lose letters on their success sheets, but it still says like success, and we count up how many letters we didn't lose, and we talk about, that type of thing instead of saying, oh, you lost this many letters. Well, how many letters do you still have today? And we'll count them up like, all right, well, let's try to have more tomorrow type of thing.
Kind of change a negative to a positive.
Right, kind of, yeah.
Awesome. Okay. So, with any disruption or anything, have you ever had to go to administration to deal with issues in class?
I feel like rarely I've had to. As long as you kind of have that repetition and you set the expectations, you shouldn't have too many issues. I feel like the only time I really had to go to like administration or like the dean or something was if there was like a problem where the child really couldn't help themselves, like if they actually had like a behavioral issue where they needed strategies that they needed to actually work on, and what I was doing just wasn't enough, they needed their own type of thing. I've gone to the administration, and then we get them, the support and things that they need. But I've never really had any behavioral problems that were just so bad that I just couldn't handle it unless it was like a needed.
So it's more for like a learning help.
Well, I mean, they need help for behavior sometimes. Like, sometimes there's kids who clearly have something going on, and, either the parents don't acknowledge it or, so you kind of have to figure out, well, what I'm doing is working, but they need something else to kind of get their behavior in check, or whatever it is that they're doing. They need to know that that's not okay, or, you need to set boundaries. Like, I have a few who just like to be up. They like to be up. They like to walk around. And for me, I don't mind that. But, we have those boundaries where it's like, okay, if you feel like you need to get up and not be sitting down, you need to stay, within arm's reach of your desk. Like, you can't get up and walk around and bother people, but you can, do what you need to do, but in a,
non-disruptive way.
Right.
Okay. I have one more question for you.
Okay.
What is your most successful use of positive reinforcement, and how long did it take you to find what that would be? Or do you even have one? Or you said you have multiple?
I feel like it's kind of good to have like a main thing that you use, and then kind of as the school year goes on, change up some of the smaller things. Like, I feel like the main thing I have is their success sheet, where they have a piece of paper that they get every Monday, and it says success 5 times on it for each day. And if they misbehave, I'll cross out a letter and we'll talk about it. Why did you lose that letter? What were you doing to not follow the rules? And I feel like that's kind of like my main like behavioral thing to kind of manage the class. And then we kind of have other little small things that are kind of thrown in there that kind of change. Like, to keep them kind of, engaged with working as a group, sometimes we do table points. Like they'll earn points for working together with the table. And we'll do that for a while, and then, okay, we'll have like a new goal that we're going to work on. And we had the brag tags at the beginning of the year where we kind of were working on, basic things. They would get like a little tag if I saw them working quietly, or they'd get a tag if I saw them, whatever the skill was, you know, they would do that. So I feel like kind of switching some things up just so it doesn't get old and so they keep buying into it. And it's kind of, you know, you switch it up just slightly. Maybe they earn different incentives. You know, we do Fun Friday. At my school, we get to pick how often we want to do Fun Friday. And, like, for my kids, we'll do Fun Friday every Friday. But, like, one Friday out of the month is, like, the big Fun Friday. Like, we usually do, like, a Fun Food Friday where we'll cook or we'll do something. And I feel like, you know, like, they still earn something at the end of the week, but then they know, like, the one day where something big is going to happen. So it's, you know, it's like you keep kind of the same things, but you change them slightly.
How long did it take you to figure out that success sheet was your best thing?
Well, I wanted something different because I hated move the clip and I did flip your card or whatever, but I was finding that the kids were flipping their cards back or trying to move their clips, like, when no one was looking, back to, like, whatever color it is. And, like, you know, you'll learn that when you're a teacher, some things you just kind of don't pay attention to constantly. And it's like, was Billy on green today? I don't know. Maybe he was on yellow. He moved around a lot today, you know, and if that's how you're keeping track of it, sometimes it gets hard. So I like the success sheets because you don't want to lose a letter. And I'll use markers or something to cross it off where, you know, I know it's crossed off. Like, I don't let them cross off their letters. Like, they'll bring me their folder, I'll cross it off, we'll talk about why they lost it, and then it's back in their folder. So I feel like that's kind of a better way to just kind of keep them accountable, and it's a little more private, too, for them, you know, where it's not just up there and people could be like, oh, you're on red, or you're on yellow, or you know, not on a good color. So it's kind of a little more private where they can kind of see, and we can have that conversation where it's like, you need to work on this, but it's still going home every day where mom and dad or whoever can see, you know, well, why did you misbehave? Why did you lose this letter today? You know?
Thought of this year?
I thought of this year.
Okay. All right. Well, those are the questions I have for you. Thank you for letting me interview you.
Sure.
And I look forward to becoming a teacher one day in the future.
Awesome. Sounds good.